Welcome to I-24 News Defense, a weekly review of strategic affairs, security, intelligence, and more in cooperation with Israel Defense Magazine. In this edition, up close with the people risking their lives to carry out extreme rescues this month in the deadly blizzards of the Himalayas of Nepal. Also, a look at the newest methods of dealing with the tunnel threat from the Gaza Strip, which of course appeared during Operation Protective Edge. At least 43 people, including trekkers from 6 different countries, were killed by the deadly blizzards that swept the Himalayas in mid-October. Units from Nepal's army and civilian rescue forces from a range of countries, including Israel, took part in the complex operation. More in a report from Daniel Ziri.
Rescue operations have finally ended in Nepal after a week of intense searches following the recent Himalayan snowstorm that has left dozens of people dead. Nepalese authorities had conducted a full-scale operation in order to find any survivors of the massive avalanches. The country's army led the rescue and recovery mission. Over 10 helicopters were mobilized every day to rescue trekkers, but also to drop search teams into some areas difficult to access otherwise. Nepalese soldiers were deployed across areas of the mountain where helicopters cannot land, and some foreign countries as well had sent teams to Nepal in order to provide support and participate in the operations. All in all, close to 600 trekkers and guides have been rescued from the popular hiking trail around Annapurna, the world's 10th highest peak. At least 40 people were killed in the storm, a storm that was particularly deadly as it hit the country's popular region at the very peak of the trekking season. This may have highlighted the authorities' lack of preparedness for such natural disasters. They came under fire on Tuesday for failing to issue timely weather warnings.
I feel we have done a great job. You know, it is not a small operation to rescue such a large number of trekkers.
The Nepalese government has, however, vowed to reform the trekking industry in the country and establish more security measures, such as shelters and GPS systems, in order to be better prepared in case of similar events in the future.
And with me now in the studio is Reserve Major Yechiel Chilik Magnus, the founder of Magnus International Search and Rescue. Thank you very much for being with me today.
Hello.
So you've seen extreme situations that the average person has never seen. I want to begin with something like this blizzard in Nepal, which we just saw a little bit of in the report. What are the first steps when you hear of something like this and your rescue team begins the search?
I can tell you exactly what happened. We received early in the morning a telephone call from a lady who participated the trek moving down from the mountain to Muktinath, and she reached Muktinath and she called us, telling us that she had seen bodies and so on, and the problem is that and that situation. We immediately contact another 2 persons who were at the same position, and we gathered information. First of all, we create a clear picture what happened there and where it happened. So we located the needs, and we alerted the Nepalese authorities, the Israeli, of course, first of all, the Israel Foreign Ministry, and all others rescue teams who are taking share in this effort.
Once you've identified, what are the first steps in the rescue itself?
Yeah, then we send people up there, from Johnson, for example, from Pokhara, and so on. But all of them came immediately back. By luck, we got one of our agency in Johnson, which is not far away from Muktinath, and he reached Muktinath in a very short time by a jeep, and he reported us exactly who is alive, who is wounded, and who unfortunately is dead. So we got the list 9 o'clock in the morning local time. We got a correct list. And then we followed the efforts that the Nepali army and Nepali police invested in rescuing all the people out of the area. The main effort later was done by the foreign ministerian, gathering the information about the trekkers and where they are located, because many parents listening to the news got worried, and they put a lot of pressure. Let us know exactly where the guys are. So we knew who entered the region to this trek. because it was registered on the entrance. So we knew the name, all the names, but we couldn't locate them. So slowly we cleared by a combined effort, we in the Foreign Ministerium, managed by the Foreign Ministerium, I have to say, and they put all the lists together. They were there also to control all the flights of the helicopters that we ordered to evacuate the trekkers out of the route.
Of all of these kinds of international disasters that your team is sent to, what are some of the most difficult situations? We're talking about very extreme conditions. What are some of the most difficult of those that you've encountered?
Listen, the most difficult situation we ever faced was the tsunami in Southeast Asia. We have been the first rescue team from all over the world reaching the area.
Wow.
We divided our team to 4 groups, and we reached in 4 teams Sri Lanka, Koh Phi Phi, Phuket, and Madras. And we operated all over the area of the huge tsunami.
What kind of skills, individual rescuers who are risking their lives to rescue others, what kind of skills do they learn and do they employ in these kinds of extreme situations?
The group is built, let's say the heart of the group is intelligence. You should bring together
Always
the knowledge.
like in the military, you have to good intelligence and then
without
to act.
intelligence and knowledge, a lot of knowledge you need from different fields, and to combine this knowledge, and these are the intelligent people doing. Without the intelligence, you cannot operate. Then we got a group of technical rescue, deep water, streams, wide stream, snow, ice, jungles, deserts, sea. And
I want, in the little time we have left, I want you to give travelers a tip, travelers who are going on these extreme journeys. How can they keep safe?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. The main issue is, if you don't know, it is a danger. You should know. It is very risky to do any outdoor activities without gathering all the information necessary for it.
Chilik Magnus, it seems very simple, but clearly it's not heeded by all travelers. A very important tip from someone who knows perhaps better than anyone else. Thank you very much for being with me.
Thank you.
Moving on now, 2 months after Operation Protective Edge, a top Hamas official claimed last week that the militant group is hard at work rebuilding infiltration tunnels into Israel. At the same time, a unique conference held in Israel focused on underground combat as part of a national security strategy. More from Michal Divon.
Operation Protective Edge ended over a month ago, leaving many Israelis feeling unsettled. Once underground tunnels entered the psyche, pressure on authorities to find a solution is higher than before. This past summer, several tunnels were used by Hamas to infiltrate Israel. Others were discovered housing weapons, maps, and even IDF uniforms for disguise. But should the tunnel threat be prioritized? Opinions differ within the defense community.
A major strategic attack can occur from these tunnels, but this is not a strategic problem. Every nuance is here. This is a problem, a challenge that must have an operational response.
A symposium at the Interdisciplinary Center in Herzliya hosted a panel of experts this week offering different schools of thought. Yossi Langotsky, one of the most outspoken critics of the government on the tunnel threat, has been trying for years to bring this underground problem to the surface.
The problem is not technological, it is structural. Because the government is not able to say that this is a threat, its treatment requires many hours of work and needs to mobilize all researchers at our disposal.
Several solutions were presented during the IDC panel: the development of a device for early-stage detection and response, subterranean detonation of explosives along the border, use the tunnels as traps for the attackers inside. But while many of these solutions are tested, tunnel builders are also developing new and more sophisticated techniques. The operation and its achievements continue to spark controversial debate. Yet one thing is certain: the Israeli military gained significant experience that could be crucial for the next war.
And with me now on set is Colonel in the Reserves Atay Shelach, a former commander of the Elite Combat Engineering Unit responsible for dealing with exactly this threat of tunnels in Gaza. Thank you very much for joining me. So we just saw in the last report on this conference there are a lot of very sharp opinions in Israel about how to deal with this threat. In that conference, you also mentioned that looking back to Operation Protective Edge, you weren't surprised by the what, but you're surprised by the how, rather. Explain.
Well, as I said in the past, what surprised me was, as you said, it's not the what, it's the how. The Hamas turned actually the underground medium, the tunnels and all this area underground to a very sophisticated operative and tactical tools. And that's what surprised me. Not the meaning, or they know how to dig or to reach underground into the settlements. Actually, what surprised it was the operational and the tactical what they already built and used against.
You're referring to the depth, the strength, the electrical wiring in the tunnels?
No, not the depth, not the strength, and not the longs. What surprised was the way they did when they turned this old system underground to a very sophisticated and sharp operational tool against Israel. You know, several tunnels in several directions, in several settlements, and sometimes simultaneous. That's what surprised me.
Was Israel completely unprepared, partly unprepared?
I think Israel was prepared for the threat they knew. We knew the threat, but we didn't know how much it's deep, if I may say. And we didn't know, for my point of view, how long they became operational, or this underground medium became an operational tool.
So looking from the past to the future, obviously the Israeli establishment now is very focused on figuring out how to prevent this. We just saw also in the report some of the options, the solutions for taking care of this threat. Is it possible to be preventative for this kind of a threat when they're surely already rebuilding?
Well, thank you for the question. There are two routes, if I may say. From one hand, it's the economic and the money resource that the Israeli MOD going to invest in this section. For the other hand, it's the technologies. There are sensors that can maybe point in not enough depth inside that there is something going on underground, but they are not taking a very vast area and said something huge is going here. There is no scanner or radar or any technologies that can stay from above and said something going on
underground
on real time. That's what important. It's a real time, for one hand, and for the other hand, there is no solution to ruin. Once you find this underground or tunnels, it takes a long time for the time being to ruin them because we don't have enough technology and, the sophisticated method to do it well.
As Michal mentioned also in the last report, the Hamas, or whatever terror group we're discussing, is always ahead. They're always planning how to get around a conventional military means. If that's what's happening, and Hamas and Hezbollah, for that matter, in the north, are always thinking ahead, how can the IDF keep up?
As I said in the past, it's a kind of a triangle. There is an operational, intelligence, and technology. And the most important thing, even if we have the fabulous technology in the future, it's the intelligent aspects. That's what give us the advance in the past, and that's what will give us the advance in the future. To know, first of all, to know what's happened. Not in the underground, not just in the underground, but in the organization, the terror organization, what they are planning for. And I think even before this last campaign operation in Gaza, we knew we had good intelligence, but we didn't turn it to an active because
it wasn't enough.
We were lack in technologies to know precisely where are the tunnels. And I think the challenge now is to create a new technology, so she can help. It will help us to find it much better.
Hopefully, one thing to come out of Operation Protective Edge is that Israel will adapt and learn how to deal with this new threat in advance, especially also on the northern border, where it is a potential, another big threat. Colonel Atay Shelach, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And that's it for this edition of I-24 News Defense. Be sure to catch us, of course, next week from here in the Jaffa Port. Thanks for watching.